Okay, let's make a bouncing ball. So once you've got Maya open, it will probably open to a window and a workspace just like this. So to start, I'm going to go up here to the top right corner where it says Modeling Standard, and I'm going to change that from whatever it's set at to Animation. And that will change my view so that I've got a 3D viewport on the top and a F graph at the bottom, or just an animation graph. So if we're going to make a bouncing ball, we need some models to do that with. So I'm going to go up here to Create Polygon Primitives, or you could just use the shelf if you wanted. And I'm going to make a sphere. I'm going to make a cube, and I'm going to make 2 planes. Actually, I'm going to do 3 planes. I want to make a little environment for it. Let's get these all laid out here. So those are my planes right there. Here's my cube. Now, I want the ball to be bouncing on the cube, so I'm going to increase the cube's scale to be a little higher. So instead of just grabbing this and working with that, which edits the transform, over here you see that the scale is increasing and decreasing. I want to keep these values at 1. And instead I'm going to work on the polycube 1 inputs. Select all 3 of those and just kind of drag them up. That way I'm actually getting a bigger cube, but my scale is staying the same. So, oh yeah, I just do that by, I select that, I select the cube, I left click select the inputs, polycube 1, and then I left click drag down, select all the inputs, and then I'm middle mouse dragging in the viewport to change the cube up and down. So I'm going to make the cube a little bit bigger. I'm going to make this plane here a little bigger the same way. Alright, so this plane here, I've got it selected. I'm going to rename this to the ground. And this plane here will become a wall. And I actually need to rotate it so that it's standing up like that. If I select the inputs on the polyplane, I don't have an option here to change it, so I have to change it on the transform. So let's see here, I'm looking down, I want this to be the wall back here. So looking at the x-axis, I want to rotate it around x, so 90 around x. And we want to increase the size of this as well, so click and drag. Then we'll move it back. That's good to start for now. And we'll call that wall 1. Select the other plane, and we're going to rotate it 90 on x as well. We're going to rotate it so that it rotates around the red arrow. And then we want it to rotate around the green arrow, the y-axis. So we'll give it 90 there as well. We want it to be bigger, so we'll select the polyplane input. Select the width and the height, scale it up, and then we'll move it back into position. So you see we're starting to get a little bit of a room that we can put our ball to bounce in. So this cube is intersecting the floor. Let's just bring it up a bit. Move it back. And right now it's just kind of aligned to the grid that it was created in. So I'm just going to rotate it off a little bit so that it's not quite so lined up with the grid and matching the angles of the walls. It's not parallel to the walls. Just makes it a little more visually interesting. So I'm making sure that even at this early stage I'm thinking about how this works on appeal. Just making it more visually interesting. So this ground doesn't look like it's going to be big enough, so I'm just going to increase it again. There we go. Alright, so this ball, we could keep the ball this big, but that's not really what I'm having in mind as I think about make this a little bigger too, as I think about this, how I want this ball to bounce. I want this to be smaller. So I select the polysphere, input, and grabbing the radius, whoops, I drag it down a little bit. And I can enter numbers manually in here if I want. If I want to get something really precise, so if I wanted to go to like 0.67, I can. It'd be very hard to do that with the mouse. So just get this ball sitting like right there. And that is our basic setup. It's not very exciting. Everything looks the same. It's very hard to tell one thing from another, and we're going to fix that. We got to think about appeal. We got to think about how this appeals to the viewer at every stage of the production here, because if we can't see the appeal, if we as the artist and the animator can't look at this and find the appeal, we can't expect our audience to do that work for us.